Hey everyone, it is Will Mosley. If you're new to the podcast, new to wherever you're listening, seeing, taking this in, I create content about the creative process, whether that's creating films, podcasts, e-commerce web stores, websites, branding, identity, flyers, brochures, trade show kits, all of that in between. And I do both sides. I give content to those trying to figure out how to create films and how to do all this stuff, and I also supply it for anyone that just needs something fast by an expert that understands the field. Okay, so today's podcast is going to be it's definitely been something that a lot of you have been looking for, wanting to hear. So I'm excited to share with you exactly my promotional film creative process. So what it's like if you got a promotional film from me. How would it go? What will we do? What are the levels? What are the layers? All that type of stuff. So I'm excited to share that with you. And hey, if you are a creator, I think this is going to be a good one for you as well, because you're going to be able to maybe take quite a bit of things from this, maybe on a way of structuring your content, or how you're doing it, so you can compare. I'm hoping that this helps both the clients and also the creators. All right, we'll jump in after the break. If you need a promotional film that is different, that's docu-style, that's just, I don't know, that's just not stiff, not like your typical corporate film, but says a lot about your business, look no further. I'm right here. And go figure, we're actually talking about the process today. So this is just straight up everything that you want to know and need to know. And hopefully you'll go over to heywillmosley, mosley.com, and you can get a quote there, and we'll get in touch. Okay, so what's it like to get a promotional film from me? What are we going to do? How's it going to be laid out? Film that's scary, I'm not good on camera, all the above. How are we going to make this happen? Well, happy to say that it's going to be extremely delightful. It's not going to be awkward or nerve-wracking, I'm hoping. What we'll do, so that we all know what we're talking about up front, is to start with my very basic level. We're just gonna call this basic. I don't know. That's what we're gonna call our call the film level. I'll come up with names along the way. Well, this should be interesting to hear what names we come up with. But essentially, there's 4 levels. So the absolute bare bone basics is we'll sit you down in your wherever it is that you create your product, wherever your business is. We'll sit you down, and I'll set up a really professional talking head spot for you. But before we even dive into that, let's talk about what we're going to actually talk about. Most times when you're wanting to create a promotional film, you're wanting to do it for 1 or 2 reasons. One, you've never done a promotional film before, so you mainly want to talk about your business and kind of what it is overall, what you're doing. If you have created a film with me before, bravo, thank you. You're probably wanting to promote your next big thing or talk about your next big launch, whether that's, you're launching your website, or you have a new coffee out, or anything that you do, you know what I mean? You want to kind of promote that, so we'll talk specifically about that. And so I'll open up a Google Doc or a Dropbox paper, or however you do your notes. I work with you, but probably a Google Doc is what most people usually do. And we're going to cover several things in this doc. We're just these are the things that we probably want to talk about your product or about your business. It can fluctuate. You can change a couple things or add a couple things, but mainly these are good key points to get it flowing and get you kind of like, feeling good about it. All right, so we're going to tackle the 5 W's and the H. And the who, who are you? We're going to talk about who you are, what it is that you do. Okay, that's simple. Why you do what you do. Where someone can, get your product or come see you. When you're open, like when can they actually do it? And then how they can go about doing that. Whether it's the how of how your product is created or the how of like actually getting your product, that can vary. It just depends on what how comes to your mind when you first think of how. And then did I answer all the W's? So we have the who, the what, the where, the why, the when. I think I answered all of them, and then the H. So we'll do that in what we call a shot list. So we make sure we don't forget all those. And then if there's certain things that you also kind of want to talk about, a couple more things that are just kind of like at the top of your mind that don't fit within those, we'll add a couple of those too, so that those get carried in. This film that we're going to create, at least at the basic level, is going to be anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. It just depends on what format you need. Sometimes people are like, I just really want this to be a short 2 to 3 minute film. Okay, we'll do it in 3 minutes. Some people want it to be a little bit longer so that people kind of get, can understand a little bit more. Shorter is typically better, but if you, at certain levels, you can actually get a short film and a longer form film with your thing, so you get the best of both worlds. The basic level, you definitely only get one choice. Either you have anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. Okay, so that's simple enough, right? So what we've kind of established is we have an outline, right, that we're going to follow. And instead of you trying to memorize what you wrote down about who you are and what you are and all that stuff, you're not going to want to do that. We're not going to do that. This isn't scripted. This is you just kind of going off an outline and me going off an outline. I find that my films and things come way more natural if you just have a couple of words that spark something in your mind, and then you can talk about it. And that's what we'll do. So let's talk about the second part of this. So once we get that done, we'll meet up at your place, and this will probably take about 30 minutes. It's not going to take too long. We just want to have enough time to set, and then maybe 15-20 minutes to just talk about these things. Now take it with the basic, we're only going to cover these things once, so it's just a one and done type of thing. If you go with like the standard version, which is just like the second level up, it allows for you to kind of have like a re-over if you feel like you messed up. So we'll sit you down. We'll make sure whatever your background looks really nice, because that's part of the scene. We want to kind of make sure that's good. You don't need to dress up any differently than what you already do every single day. So if you wear a hoodie every day, I want you in a hoodie. If you wear a tie and a suit every day, then wear that. Just wear what you usually wear so you feel comfortable. It's the most important thing is comfortable in what you are, not what you think other people think you should be. So you're going to wear your hoodie or whatever, and it'll be simple. It's going to be very conversational, real quick. Let me give you an idea of what you're going to be looking at. You'll be looking at a camera on a tripod. It'll have what's called a boom stand, which is going to allow the mic to get as close to your face as it can without it being in scene. I know a lot of you worry about, I don't really want the mic in scene. Well, I can make that happen for you. It's not going to be in scene for what we're doing. If you don't care about the mic being in scene, then perfect. That means you actually can get better audio, but for the vast majority of you, I know that you want it just out of scene. That's cool. That's dope. So, I'll sit right behind the camera. I'm going to tell you to look straight into the lens. It's very important that you kind of just look into the lens like it's a person. And then I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'll try to stand like right behind the camera, so you're kind of pretty much looking at me anyways. It's important that you don't look off screen or off whatever, because it will show in your film. And then I'll just go down what our talking points. I'll say, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, blah, 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 blah. Kind of get the jitters out. And then I'll ask you, okay, so introduce yourself. Who are you? What's your company? Stuff like that. What do you do? Why is it important to you? Why? Really why? And try your hardest, to gather your inner. I'm trying to think of the best word. Just so when I ask why you started your business, right? I don't want a standard, I started it because I want to hear really what really inspired you to start this business. Why did you really start it? And a lot of times you'll dig a little deeper, and it's probably because you saw something that was wrong, or something that you couldn't live without doing it. There are so many different things, and that passion, that's going to be conveyed in your film. Super important. So we'll do that. The background's going to look really nice. There's going to be two lights that are going to be kind of to the side of you. You won't be looking directly into them, so it's not going to hurt your eyes. But yeah, that's pretty much basic. We'll roll through that, and that'll just be your film. That's the basic film. It's just going to be you kind of talking to the camera about who you are, what you're offering, your service. If you have a product, I definitely advise you to have it in your hands, so that you're using it as you're talking about it, you're feeling it. You can, if there's something that comes up, like, what is your product? You'll probably bring it up in your hands just naturally, and then kind of start talking and sharing and all that stuff. So that's good. Now, I know, hey, that's the most basic type of film that we can create. It's for anyone that's really on a budget, doesn't have that much cash flow to spend, but also just wants to get their story out there, and that's cool. That's completely fine. Your audio is going to be good. Your video is going to be good. It's going to look good. Now, there are 3 other levels, and this just continues to increase the production value, the engagement, how strong your film is. So, level 2. Right? Let's just call this standard. Your standard film is, instead of just one takes, right, and you're just kind of talking and okay, we're gonna change your scene again. So we're gonna do the same thing we did in for the basic style film, but we're also gonna find another spot in your studio or office or workplace or whatever it is. Make sure the background's nice and beautiful. You're gonna have that nice bokeh, and then we're gonna go through the exact same questions again. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to, if there was something that you just felt like you messed up on the first one, well, hell yeah, you can just say it right this time. You got a new chance to kind of do it. You have a way to kind of redo that. Also, what this allows us to do is, as we change subjects, change topics, we can change those angles, so it's way more engaging in the film. We'll go back and forth. They'll be cropped in a little bit sometimes. There'll be wide shots. It's just going to make it way more engaging. So definitely a must. Now, another thing that's also included with the standard film is we're going to get B-roll of your studio. Well, what's B-roll? What does that mean? B-roll means, as I look at your workplace or your studio, I come in after I've kind of done a quick interview with you. I'm looking for everything that kind of stands out about your office. And a lot of times what happens when you're talking about the stuff in the film, because you've mentioned certain things from the shot list, I'll be kind of keeping an eye trying to look for certain things in your office or in your studio that you have that makes more reference to that. So if you're talking about your product, obviously I'm going to have some B-roll or some nice, shots to flip through of your product, whether that's the coffee beans or makeup or whatever it is that you do. This really sells it really well to your customer or to potential customers that you're trying to bring in. This is perfect. So remember, with the standard film, you pretty much get another shot. You get another angle that that we can flip between to keep engagement, and we also are going to get B-roll of like your product, of your studio, of your workplace to add so the user feels like they're there. All right, this next one, we're going to call it Pro. So we got basic, standard, Pro. Your Pro film, which I recommend to any and everyone, is going to take it so much further. This is where we really get into it. Not only do we have those two angles that we're going back and forth between, as well as the B-roll that's going to really tell the story. Say that you're talking about your coffee that can be bought online. We're going to screen record any of the type of things that you're talking about, where if you're making references to your online, like go online and purchase this, we'll go on your website, we'll screen record. I say we, really me and my computer, right? Record like the screen of like me purchasing coffee or showing someone purchasing coffee or purchasing the makeup, so the person understands the exact workflow of how that works. Now, in addition, this is so important, and this is probably what's gonna, you're like, okay, this is dope, this is where it's at. Not only are we gonna talk about your, what you make or what you do in your services, I'm gonna spend an hour with you, and you're just gonna do whatever it is, the process that you do, whether that's making your product, if that's making the coffee beans, or that's making the t-shirts, or that's giving a tattoo, or that's you're an artist or an illustrator that's showing the working process of you creating a piece of work or art piece. I'm gonna spend an hour with you, and we're gonna just document that. I'm gonna record all of that, and that's gonna show up in your film, where like it's like, oh, well, what do you do? And instead of it just being you showing a product of makeup or coffee beans, or like some of the pictures that you've done of like your tattoo work, it's gonna show you actually tattooing someone, the process, like between the stenciling and all those type of things that are so important to help people understand why they actually want to go with you. That's what people really are looking for, the creative process. Go figure, I'm a creative director. That's why you want to go with the Pro. Not only with the Pro version is also going to give you an airplane flying by. It's also going to give you text on the screen. So a lot of times people watch films without audio in today's, age. Like in today's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, how they're consuming it is a lot of times they don't even have the volume on, and they click into your video if they start to think it's engaging. And it's so important to actually add captions and text to your film. Now, there's the boring way of adding captions, which is just like every single word, or you can do it creatively, which is what I do. If you watched any of my films, you'll know what I'm talking about. Wherever we're talking or changing subjects, we're going to add a transitional effect, like an overlay screen that kind of highlights whatever that topic we're about to talk about. right? So that's very good for changing up. This is seen in master classes. If you're have watched any of the master classes, it shows up like there. And then also certain talking points, certain things that you start talking about in the film, like say you're talking about your tattoos, and you're saying that the tattoos last, the ink is impeccable. Those key words like durable, or long lasting, or impeccable, or creative, any of those type of words, that's going to flash on the screen as well, so anyone that's not really listening can still get the idea of what you're talking about and understand. And that is why you want to go with the Pro. Now, for the absolute ultimate experience, I guess we'll just call it the ultimate film. This is the lifestyle film. This is it, taking it to, I don't even want to say the next level. It is literally top of the charts. This is what people pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for. Not only are we going to have like your talking heads where you're changing the angles, and where we have the B-roll of your studio, and we have the online screen recordings of like the shopping experience or stuff like that, as well as the creative process behind all of that, as well as text to go on that. We're going to take it to the streets. And what I mean by we're going to take it to the streets is, I mean several different things. One, we're going to take that same shot list that we had, and I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to talk with you. We're going to go through whatever your city. We're going to, whatever your favorite kind of, whatever it is, location that you love. I'm going to take a walk with you, and we're going to talk about those same talking points, right? So what this does is it allows us to show the environment, show where you're at, show much more of the culture in your film, while covering certain talking points. And that also acts as a third revision too. So say you thought you messed up on round 2 or round 1, that gives you a whole nother opportunity to re-say or even add more emphasis or more information on certain talking points that we covered in the studio. Not only that, if your product is physical, like a bike or a board or coffee or climbing gear or anything that is literally someone uses in the real world, if I support your product, this is important, this is subjective, because if some products I may not support, but if I do support your product, I personally will review the product itself. I will go out, use it as a customer, and that doesn't just that says way more than you telling the story. It shows a customer, a person actually trying it out and seeing how it is for themselves. Now, there is another flip to that. If it's something that I'm like, it's something that I don't do, or it's something that just isn't, something that I want to stand completely behind, or am uncomfortable. If, for example, maybe this might be like, you have a car that is a manual car, and maybe you're trying to sell cars, but I can't drive a manual, car, period. So me faking, riding in this car that's a manual, whatever, it just wouldn't align. You get it. But what can be done, if I don't, review your thing, is you personally, or someone on your staff, or someone, or a friend of yours, or even a customer that you have gotten agreements with, which I don't know if I suggest that, because they might feel really awkward about it. So I recommend someone maybe of your staff, or maybe just you in general. We'll film them actually using the product, whether that's like your bike or a motorcycle or a scooter. I'm just thinking about all these electronic like vehicles right now because I'm driving, of course, but you get the point. If it's a yoga mat, we're looking at the durability of it. We're looking at there's so many different things, but we're putting it in the field and not just in the studio. How someone would actually go about using this in a day-to-day. And a lot of this stuff would probably pop up with the hows of your product, or the what's of your product, stuff like that. And that is it's tremendous for how much effect it will make on people being able to understand within those 3 to 10 minutes what your business does and how they can consume your product. Now, there's a couple more benefits of the Ultimate film. We're also going to get drone shots of your area, so we're going to be able to show like really nice visuals of your business, of the outside of your business, of like the city, which is crazy important for helping people understand the culture. And then you're going to have the option to have this film not only this film, export it for your website and YouTube and Vimeo and Facebook as a long form video, but I will take this 10-minute film, I will cut it up and make 10, depending on how long your film is. If your film is 3 minutes, it would be 3, but if your film's like 10 minutes, I'll be able to make 10 micro Instagram posts that you can share to your, Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is that, your whatever your social media is, or all of them. And they'll be able to get bits of what you're talking about. Now, please do note that these 10 1-minute clips, if your film's 10 minutes that is, are literally just me cutting at 1 minute, cutting at 2 minutes, cutting at 3 minutes, cutting at 4 minutes, 5, etc., etc. So it's not an exact perfect cut, but if you look at my Instagram, you'll be able to tell exactly what I'm talking about. Even though it's not exactly cut right on the dime of it, the beginning of a subject or the end of a subject, it works perfectly for the short feed. People are so used to this segmented content, it works so well. And at the very bottom of those micro pieces of content, we're gonna help push people back to the original film, whether that's like, hey, learn more at whatever your website, my website of course is heywillmosley.com, or DM us for to get a quote, or whatever it is that wherever you want the person to end up, we'll put that at the very bottom of each of those micro pieces of content. Now, one last thing with the Ultimate film, not only are you going to get roughly a 10-minute film, like a long form film that people can watch, we're also going to create you a 3-minute film from that 10-minute film. That's cut and summarized from the 10-minute film. So it's very, very cool, very good to be able to tell your story at that type of level, promote the product, and just have so many different outlets that you can use to put all of this media on. All right, so I really hope that helped break down the exact process that we'll go through when creating your film. It's going to be simple, it's going to be practical, it's going to be fun and enjoyable. And as far as turnaround time, and this is kind of by project, of course, but typical turnaround time is about 2 weeks from the shoot date, the last shoot date or whatever. As far as payment goes, it is 50% up front and 50% on the end. And as far as when we can do this, it's on Saturdays only. How can you get a promotional film from me? Well, if you go over to heywillmosley.com, again, that's heywillmosley, Mosley.com, you can go ahead and, put in a quote, and we'll get started, and it'll be exactly how you expect it. All right, so for any of my creatives that stuck around and listened through this whole thing, I really hope that this helps you with your filmmaking process and with your clients, and gives you maybe a level of confidence of where to kind of break up your films and what kind of things. Also, let me know on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever you follow me, what you thought of this podcast. I'd love to hear. All right. One last thing. Nothing to do with promotional films, but I've been listening to this podcast called Decomposed. I just now started listening to it today, and if you have not listened to any podcast, this is a really good one to start with. It's this woman, this strong woman, female lead, Jade Simmons, who's like a classical composer that dissects or decomposes all these classical symphonies and not only does she like go through like what they mean, but talks about the people that created them back in 1800s or 1700s or 1900s or whatever, and about the scandals and things like that, what each kind of represent. It's really cool. It's called Decomposed if you're looking for a new podcast to listen to. All right. I'm Will Mosley. I create films, podcast, and creative content on the creative process. Until next time, peace.